Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Armstrong. I'm the CEO of US Workboats. I've been in the aluminum boat building industry now for 29 years. We're here today in the training center, and we're in the process of creating training videos to train our internal staff and grow the group. What I want to do is share with you some tricks with regard to the use of some of the small tools, and this will be really very specific to the fabrication of aluminum. So thanks for joining us. I wanted to start out with one of the most common ones, and one of the most dangerous ones, and one of the most misused ones, and that's an angle grinder. So this is a 9005B Makita grinder. This is one of my favorites. I do not represent Makita in any way, not in we. There's plenty of acceptable grinders to use. However, there's also some grinders which we really don't want to see here, and you really don't want to use for aluminum fabrication, even if you're doing it in your garage. If you have a switch on the top here, and you're going to push that locks on. Almost all those lock on. But you never want to grind with that trigger locked on. So you want a trigger style thing, like a gun, okay? And it does have a lock, and there's no real good way to take that out, otherwise I would do that. Okay, we like this grinder for a number of reasons, and there's some good DeWalt ones and other brands. But we like it for a number of reasons. One, it's a 12,000 RPM grinder, and it's got 7/8 arbor. Now, and if I get any of this terminology wrong and somebody wants to challenge it on me, fine, but this is how I know it, the 7/8 arbor, is that the things you're going to put into here are going to have a hole in them. And that hole is 7/8 of an inch. There's lots of things with 1-inch arbor, there's things with smaller ones, bigger ones, but all of our tooling is set for this size. Every wheel is set to go on 7/8 for all of our grinding equipment. The nut, okay, is actually a 5/8 nut. It's a 5/8 nut, and this also another one. It's a 5/8 nut, and it has an inside hole inside here where it comes in. It's 5/8 of an inch inside. Okay, now I was using this stone yesterday. Kyle and I fabricated this bench out of mostly scraps out of the junk bin, by the way. And this is the most common setup to be used. So this is used 98% of the time. It's a flex cut grinding whip. Okay. It uses a certain backing pad. It comes new in the bag, in the box. Okay. This is set up for grinding of non-ferrous metals. Okay. This is the only pad to use with this wheel. Okay, this is the backing pad and the nut. It's a flush nut. Sits in there. When you buy one of these grinders new, it comes with a couple other things. It comes with this, which happens to be a simple little wrench, which happens to fit. Here I've seen plenty of you guys over at the Vice screwing with this thing, right? That actually fits that. Now, most of you guys would just take and throw this in the trash, but it actually is handy to keep in your toolbox. It does fit that as well. Okay. It also comes with a guard. Now that guard definitely doesn't want to get thrown away. We want to keep that, but we only want to use that for a couple of different operations. Okay, we're going to go over the proper installation of a flex cut grinding wheel. This grinding wheel, as you can see, it has a 7/8 arbor. That means and it takes, let's see, it has a convex shape on it. It's got some bumps on it. This thing is specifically for grinding of non-ferrous metals, and the proper installation of this thing, it's going to take a special backing pad that goes with it. They come new in a box. These things come together. This thing goes ahead. It has a little metal piece in the back that's inset into it. 5/8 hole in the center, and then it takes this here is 7/8. It's going to fit in there. This nut is going to go on. This nut is, we must use this nut. You can see it's very thin, and it's got some shape here that goes into this dish. Okay, we don't require a whole lot of tension on this. we can go ahead and just hold that lock and tighten it just about that much, and we're gonna be good to go. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put this sanding disc onto this angle grinder. And to do that, we need the proper backing pad. This is an example of a backing pad that's gonna work just fine for us. There's some things that we don't wanna use. We do not wanna use this. That's for our flex cut wheel. We do not wanna use this backing pad either, definitely the wrong one. We're gonna use something like this that supports this thing out near the edge. This one's actually designed for 4.5, and this is a 5. They do make this in a 5, and I don't have one with me today, but the proper installation of that, it's gonna go ahead and go on there. We're gonna use this nut. It's important that we get this 7/8 center in here, into this. We push that in there, it's gonna go through. So, let's see if we can't get that started on there. We make sure as we're threading it in that it's actually in the center, otherwise it's gonna wobble all over the place on us. And that's gonna be a properly installed sanding disc, okay? And when we're doing our grinding work, it's gonna be flexible for us, and it's gonna finish stuff real nice. We're gonna go ahead and install this. This here it's a polishing disc, but you could use this to wash your dishes with. Very similar product, okay? It is really, it's not made of much, it's real bendy. It needs to have some proper support on the back. This is an acceptable backing pad for it. This is the same as you would use for the standing disc here. But when we put that on there, we're gonna wanna use one of these nuts here, one of these tapered nuts. And it's gonna go on there and assemble just like this on our grinder. We'll go ahead and put them on. As you can see, when we screw that in, it's gonna be down in below the surface in there, right like that. And that's gonna hold that wheel on there real nice. It's also gonna allow it some flexibility when we're doing our grinding work. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put this stainless steel wire wheel in this grinder. We're gonna use this thing for cleaning up. Either we're doing refit type of work with it, or we're cleaning paint, or we're cleaning debris, or we're gonna prep for a weld. If something's been assembled for a long time, but it hasn't been welded, and we're gonna get that clean there. So that thing is gonna go on, it's not gonna go on this way, it's gonna go on this way. And it really quite simply just threads right on there like that. And we don't have to over tighten that. It's not gonna be necessary because it's gonna be harder to get off as it is. That's it, properly installed. This would be called like a cutoff disc, or I would call it a zip cut. It's one of the slang terms for it. It's real thin. This thing is specifically, we're never gonna grind, we're never gonna use the surface here like that. We're gonna use it to cut with. It doesn't work very well for aluminum, but it does work. We're gonna use this for our backing pad. It's a real small nut, comes with our grinder. It's got these things here, these ridges in it. This clips into this notch, real simple to install. We also, when we put that on there, as you can see, it's real thin, but we can see this comes this way, so it's important that when we take this nut, it also has that, it fits that. We're gonna take and we're gonna put it on actually upside down, so that it's gonna tighten and hold properly on there. That's properly installed. 5-inch grinder here, and we're gonna go ahead and put this hard pad on here. This hard pad is virtually useless for aluminum. I guess the only good thing about it is you'll never wear it out because it doesn't really do much cutting. However, there are instances where we might want to use the edge of that. It's going to be not very common. But if we do want to install that, we're going to go ahead and use this steel backing pad here that comes with it, this nut, and it's going to clip into there just the same. And now it has this little ledge on there which is going to center that wheel. So that's centered now, but there's still some depth. So when we put this on here, we're going to want that also to grab in that hole like that. It's going to be different than our zip cut application. We're going to go ahead and that's properly installed. So we went through what we can put on here, and everything else is either incorrect or for some other application. We don't need anything else besides that. Put the wax on. Maybe break and talk about the wax. There's a lot of kinds of wax that are manufactured. A lot of them are like a grease-based wax, and this one is like it isn't very greasy at all. It's quite hard. It has, I believe it has animal fat in it. I don't know the exact chemical makeup of it, but your dog will eat it. So I believe it has like cow fat or something in it. We don't want to use a lot of this. We want to use a little bit all the time. If you're grinding and you don't have this near you, you're destined to fail, right? This is the most useful thing in aluminum fabrication, period. Okay? It'll make the CNC machine cut faster. And it's not practical to put it on that machine, but it is practical to put it in the bandsaw, the grinder, the skill saw, the table saw, jigsaw, sawzall, any one of these things. There's a couple of things that happen with the wax. It's got a metal bottom on it. People cut it in half. Bandsaw, miscellaneous other places, and they set it down. Welding's hot, right? We're working with metal and we're getting it hot. So it's melting out underneath, this wax getting all over the place. Another thing is people tend to put a lot on it at once and they grind and it sprays all over the place. We really want to avoid doing that. We want to just take and we want to put, I'll demonstrate the difference between the two and then I'll skip off the wax. I like to just put it on kind of like this. Done. Okay, about that much. Now, if it's a pretty new wheel, you might just actually take and you have it on the grinder, you might just put a bit of it on like that. Now, you can just not even have it turn, but just to get a little bit of it on there on the face. You don't want a lot of it on there. And you definitely don't want to just grind and spray that stuff in. Now, you guys have heard before that when you wax it out for the weld, right? Anybody heard that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Well, that's what I was told when I got here.
Right. Well, it's bad for the weld, but it's good for everything else. So what we want to do is if we feel like we have a little bit too much on there, we can take, I got some samples that we're going to work on today. So what we can do is, I don't know if I like that one. You're trying to get rid of some of it, and you're going to go back to work and you're grinding near where you're going to be welding. Just use it somewhere else for about that long, and it's going to get the real loose stuff out of the way. Does that make sense? Very important here that we have the right amount of wax on, and specifically, if you're looking at the difference between these two, one of them is a real nice gray color, and you can't see any sort of impregnations of metal building up there because there isn't any. This is well used, but it's still a very good wheel. This has been used about the same amount of time. As you can see, it's got bits of aluminum. So you're grinding just metal on metal when you're turning that around, and it isn't gonna cut. Let's go ahead and talk about the handle. All grinders come with a handle, no matter what the brand. These specific ones that I like the most do have it so you can put it on the other side. It's a right-handed world. I don't know, maybe somebody left-handed would like it this way. I'm not really totally sure about that. But I wouldn't be able to use it that way. All the time I see it being used like this. Okay? So, what I will tell you is I don't want anyone to use it like that, ever. Even if you know, working somewhere else or doing it in your garage, you don't want to use it like that because you can't hold on to the thing, okay? You can't. Now, you might be able to grind other things, other applications, but you can't hold on to it. You're also not going to do near as much work because you're holding on to it either with one hand or with two hands, and you got it up around here. You're not supposed to be holding it. That's not a handle. This part is a handle, and this part is a handle. The other thing is you can lean on it. You can push on it. You can use both your arms. You can get more force on the thing, and you can use some of the power of the grinder that way. I don't know why everybody takes it off, but I don't want anyone to take it off ever. If you feel like you have to take it off because you can't get some sort of operation done, what should you do?
Just find another way to do it.
Another way to do it. Do not do it. Maybe we'll make a comparison here. Has anyone ever had a DUI? Okay. Well, so is it okay to drive when you've been drinking some of the time?
No.
Well, Okay, what will happen to you is if you use this grinder without the handle, you will hurt yourself, okay? Maybe you'll get away with it a few times, but you will hurt yourself with it. The amount of times that I've taken people to the hospital, grinder cuts. As you position them to say, no, you know, we have a lot of digital clocks, but I say between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock when we're looking at the grinder, okay? So continuing on about this 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and this is really, really important. This is totally about safety here with this tool. So what I'm saying is if you're taking and looking at that grinder here with the handle straight down below you and over here, we want to use only that area of the stone. Super, super, super important, and we don't want to be over here. This would be between here and here. That is the danger zone. Now, I will tell you, that's where all of the accidents happen. Now, if you have this thing properly in your hand, what you're going to notice is holding it like this, your arms are the same length. Okay, so you're really, that 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock is actually going to be on the top when you're looking down on this thing. So here to here only. Here to here only. Trying, the thing is pushing back towards you, okay? It wants to come towards your body. And you know, you're not strong in here like this. If you're taking it from here to here, it's pushing to the side or it's pulling, and it isn't going to get away from you. It won't ever get away from you. You know, you might use it on its edge. That's acceptable. You're going to use it on the flat a lot of the time. And you might be down into below the 3 o'clock a little bit when it's on this flat position here. But really, basically, all of the work is going to be done with 1/4 of the clock face of the grinder. This is really important. When I watch them catch, when I hear it smack, make a big noise, it's because somebody's got it in the wrong place. I watched somebody down there with the gouging wheel on it, gouging up here, over here, and guess what happened to him? He went to the hospital, okay? Grinder position. All right, so what I want to do here is get to actually doing some stuff, but I would like to try and see if we can go through as many of these things and we'll relate back to them. So we've been talking about some safety issues, and you'll also hear me bring this up again and again and again through every class. It's like, this is about the quality of the work. Okay, I keep talking about the flat of the stone, and I'm talking about 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock here. I'm talking about this being flat. Okay, what we don't want to do is we don't want to grind here, and we don't want to grind here. And we can see our cuts. If we grind like this, our cuts are going this way. This way, our cuts are coming this way. It's going to give us very unsatisfactory quality. Quality is going to come here. We need longer strokes. We're not going to sit there and go like this. We're not going to do that. We're going to go one long stroke. Equipment, we definitely want to have absolutely a minimum of a pair of glasses. You know, something that's like a actual safety glass. And by the way, I brought a whole bin of them up here if we need some. We're going to do some of that today. If I'm doing any serious grinding work, I like a face shield. The face shields that I've seen around here are flat across the bottom right about here. I like the ones that's V, goes down like this. They make a much better one than we've been using here. I like to have a face shield if you're really getting with it, but a minimum, we're going to use this and some earplugs. A lot of people like to wear gloves. I don't wear gloves very much. If I do wear gloves, I usually wear one. Because I like to, you know, use my hands. So I do have one. You know, I do a bit of that today. But there are some applications where we're grinding things that are dusty, especially if we're grinding pre-painted stuff, and we're going to use a dust mask. But besides that, this thing is a pretty simple tool, and if it's used correctly, you know, you can do lots of work with it and have, you can make things look really good, by the way. Everybody says that they want to learn to weld, but everybody wants to learn to weld aluminum. heard that 10,000 times. What they really don't know is they actually should learn to fabricate something, and the welding is pretty easy out there. It's the setup and preparation that usually aren't done right, and then you go to do the actual welding of it, and it's going to turn out terrible because it's got no other choice but to turn out terrible. Okay, now how long you been doing this trade?
Oh, wow. What was I doing wrong?
Okay, everything, all right? So, we'll digress a little bit, we'll just get you to work on that one.
So rough right here.
Doesn't, I mean, I don't like it, right? I'll even deburr it, because I deburred that side. I don't like it, and I don't like it at all. Because it's wrong. We bring this up again and again and again through every class. This is like, this is about the quality of the work. Okay, I keep talking about the flat of the stone, and I'm talking about 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock here. I'm talking about this being flat. Okay, what we don't want to do is we don't want to grind here, and we don't want to grind here. Okay, I'd like to illustrate what was going wrong for the gentleman who was just on. I'm just going to draw a picture, basically, of our situation, and I'm going to draw some bigger bumps on the top of here to kind of illustrate what is going to make it worse. Okay, so if we had that stone on the grinder and we're cutting on an angle, so we're cutting with the edge of the stone crossways into this surface, it's going to follow in those hills and valleys, and it's going to actually make the situation worse, not better. What we want to do is we want to get the flat, and you know, again and again and again talking about this flat, but what that's going to do, actually it'll change colors on the pen, it's going to bring a new straight line through here, and it's going to take the tops of the bad bits off, and we're going to do the same thing again. If I can actually draw a straight line here, it's going to come through again this way, and before long, those valleys, and this is an amplified situation, but before long, we're going to go ahead and get a nice straight line, and that's because of the position of our stone. Biggest mistake people make, always, it's the biggest mistake.
There you go.
I debated that in my
Flat like
mind.
you just did.
Can't even see the strokes now. The entire walk up here, I was like, yeah.
Okay, so he jumped in there like he hadn't even come. All right, habits. It's a habit. You want this way with it. You're gonna follow the holes. I mean, I cut it fairly round for you, but you know you can tie it in. You can do it this way. If I was doing the fingers up, I'd do the two straight bits first. Reverse it. You see how much better that looks, right?
Yeah.
You can hit it with this little. can do, you can, if we deburr it, you can do that with the edge of it too, right? Acceptable?
Take it home.
We're gonna clean that up. I think it sucks royally. Because you didn't do it the right way. So, I'm gonna do it my way, all right? And you're gonna watch, and we're gonna have a look at the difference between the two. Okay, so the last gentleman was doing exactly what we don't want. And I'm just gonna give you a close-up view of the cuts. And hopefully you can actually see these cuts are going across ways. And it basically looks terrible. Okay, we do not want that at all. This is gonna be close-up of a weld on, it's an open corner weld, and we're gonna put it here, and I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna do a couple of different steps on this. I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna use this flex cut wheel with this wax, and I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna grind it in there. I'm gonna turn it over one time, do the other side. Then I'm gonna come through here and 45 this off. And I'm gonna round in between. I'm gonna hit it with this. It's not gonna take very long. We're gonna give it a little buff. Okay, and then we're gonna look at the difference in the quality. So we are ready to go, and we've got lots of wax on our tool, so start with the noise. And we're gonna stay in tight. We're not gonna grind a whole lot, and we're gonna keep our stone right rocked about here. Now we've taken that edge and this, we're gonna come with the 45. We're just gonna get the high spots, like those peaks we were talking about when we were doing a flat piece, and this is a corner. We can see them starting to disappear. The low spots are still here, and we may leave just a couple of those, but we're gonna get in there a little bit farther. Now I'm gonna come in around a 22, put one more facet, round it a little bit, flip it. You notice how I'm using a nice big stroke, complete stroke through there. We're gonna be able to get rid of a couple more of those. The guy who welded it left us some holes that wouldn't be there if that was a little fuller. Okay, we've got quite a nice actual finished product there, but since we still have a little bit more time, we haven't been very long on this thing, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put a straight edge on here. And you know, we're allowed to use any of the tools we want, so I don't think it's gonna be cheating. We're not gonna push really hard against there, we're just gonna use that as a guide, okay? And we're gonna do a couple of passes and that's it. Same. We should have run a timer on that. You guys just go ahead and have a look at how that looks. It's beautifully nice and smooth. It's nice and round. There's a couple little holes. Those were holes in the weld. And if I was trying to do that perfect, I would have spotted those. Anyways, that is a beautiful job, and that's how we want to do it. Okay, folks, this has been butt welded together. This is just the same size piece of pipe. It's been butt welded together. Got a nice little weld on there. We're going to review the wrong way to do it first, and then we're going to do it the right way. I'll stop talking and start grinding here, but you see what this looks like. It's got a bump on it. It was V'd. We're gonna want this smooth, okay? Starting off incorrect. This is what most everyone does, folks. Most everyone goes this way. And I've switched around, and I'm gonna go ahead and do it the way that I want it done. I want it done this way, with that flat of the stone, taking the high spot. Go ahead and use my second favorite pad here really quick. Now I'm gonna let you look at this. It's beautiful. It's beautifully smooth. Looks perfect. This, in my opinion, looks like a dog's ass. So it's just a difference in the position of the grinder because the grind marks are digging into the surface. The stone is set on there wrong. This is what we want to see. Thanks, folks. Okay, the plate we have that's joined together, it's been welded on one side. There's actually a bit of burn through here. So before we gouge that, we'll just take our regular flex cut wheel and we'll get some of that material off. It's important that we get that down, otherwise it's going to make it hard for us to control with this gouging wheel. Sometimes we're going to want to actually draw a line on here with a Sharpie because we ground off some of that penetration there, and to be able to see where we want to open that up, if we just put a line on there, we're going to do a better job. Now this wheel, it's really important with this thing. We have the guard on it. We never want to cut, 12 to 3, that's where we want to be. We want to take and we want to pull this towards our body so that the chips are coming towards us, and that way if the thing catches, it goes away from us, okay? So we'll do that. We'll hold the handle here like this. That's given us a really nice shaped groove that we can come back in and weld. It's really opened it up nicely. If there was any bit of the root of the weld, you would be able to see, but that's all into new material. So that's one of the very few things that we would do with this. Highly effective. The last thing we might do with this wire wheel is actually clean this U-groove up. Now, we want to make sure that we have a new or a wire wheel that's being used only on new material. We don't want to use one that's been used for refurb work because there might be paint or impurities of other kind. We're going to clean this weld area up. So this has given us a really highly desirable area that we can actually weld. It's nice and clean inside of that root. We don't necessarily have to do that last procedure with new material, but with older material, we definitely always want to be doing that. Anyways, that's going to be ready to lay a nice weld in there. So we're going to do the last procedure here with this angle grinder. We've got a hard pad on here. This one is a steel hard pad. As I said the other day, virtually useless. However, there is maybe one application for that, and that would be to clean up an inside radius. So we're going to do a 3-step procedure on this if we're cutting an inside radius, and I'm going to use this circular saw. Also going to use this Harbor Freight, a beautiful jigsaw. Cut a bit of a radius in there. We're going to clean that up, and then we'll wrap up the grinder use section. I'm using a couple other tools today because this piece isn't already cut for us. So we're going to get started. All right, first is going to be the skill saw. Now successfully got this corner cut out. What we really wanted to demonstrate is using the edge of this hard stone. Let's go ahead and wax it a bit. And we're going to stick it in the edge here. And although, as discussed, that's really basically pretty much of a useless tool. That's probably about the only time we were really going to want to use that, because what that'll do is that'll clean the inside radius. That'll make that real nice right there. And so that's about the only thing we would ever do with this stone. Besides that, throw it in the corner of your toolbox.
This wraps up the grinder section of these videos, and if you use this tool exactly how I've shown you, you will never hurt yourself with it. The quality of your work will skyrocket, and your speed and productivity will increase tenfold. Thanks for watching, folks.